Yo, what is going on YouTube? We are back again with this week's prediction video. Major 2 qualifier week 3, the last week before the major. Um Going to be some excited matches. A lot of teams need some major wins this week. Um but yeah, getting right on into the predictions for this week. First match on Friday is Toronto Ultra versus Paris Legion. Now, eh, I mean, even though Toronto's looking kind of like average lately, Paris still doesn't look good regardless of the roster changes. Yeah, sorry Paris, but you're probably finishing 0-5 in week 3 or in major 2 qualifiers. But either way, next matchup is the Battle of LA. Now this one's interesting. Um, I think LAG could possibly be the better team right now. And it's weird to say that. Speaking that, me personally, I had LA Thieves winning Major 1, and that didn't happen, which it's okay. And then 2, I just don't know. Like, LA Thieves just doesn't look like they're meshing well right now. People are even talking about a brewing roster change, or like talking about possibly this team maybe needing a roster change. I don't know if I agree with that yet. I think this team needs more time. Um, this team's still insanely talented, but LAG right now do look like the better team. I think this is going to be a very close matchup. And this, for me, depends. I don't know. Like, the vetoes are going to be interesting for this one. But I think this is going to be the result of the match. And just due to the fact that, like, LAG is just a better search team than Thieves right now. That's literally what decides it for me. Is Thieves are so bad at search, and LAG could definitely take a control or a hard point off of LA Thieves right now, who are looking pretty not as dominant, I guess. So yeah, I think LAG are gonna go big against LA Thieves in a much needed match win. Yeah, LAG 3-2. This one this one is interesting. I think it's gonna go like this, but like Florida's just an interesting team against like the top teams like FaZe, like Optic. Um, they kind of like the similar map sets as the top teams, like a Bocage, a Tuscan. Like yeah, it's just I see them squaring up on on maps that are gonna be good for Atlanta FaZe. So I don't know. I mean, I think I think FaZe have been looking sloppy lately, but it's Atlanta FaZe. I don't think they'll look sloppy for too long. This is gonna be a good confidence booster for Atlanta FaZe, in my opinion. Should take the series 3-0, 3-1, in my opinion. Now this is an interesting matchup. So next day, first match of the day, Los Angeles Thieves versus Seattle Surge. They're both not looking great. Um, you got a Seattle Surge team that beat Atlanta FaZe, and then they played a close game versus Optic. I can't remember who. Oh, I need to go back and see who else they played. They played Optic. They played Gorillas. That's who beat them. Okay. So they beat Atlanta FaZe. They play like I know it says 3-1, but they played a pretty kind of competitive game versus Optic regardless of the map count. And then they kind of didn't just look the same versus LAGs. They're kind of like an inconsistent team right now, but it's the same for LA Thieves right now. Even though LA Thieves still have a great hardpoint record, um, they're 0. If they lose this, they'll be 0-4 in this stage. So, it's just interesting. You know what? This is crazy, but I'm gonna go with the upset, and I'm gonna give Seattle Surge the game 5. I think it's gonna be weird predicting LA Thieves to go 0-5 along with Paris Legion this stage, but I don't know. They both seem inconsistent, but I have more faith. Like I just have no faith in LA Thieves S&D right now. But that's just I don't know. They're just weird. They look weird. I hope hopefully they figure it out though. Next matchup is Florida Mutineers versus Boston Breach. Now, Boston look really good. Surprisingly good for a lot of people. They're tied for first with Optic right now at 3-0. Um, obviously they placed top 6 at the major. So, I mean, realistically speaking, if you think about this matchup that happened at the major, you would have think that Florida should have won that, to be honest with you. Florida did like a crazy breaking like outslaying record and still lost or something. Like crazy, crazy, crazy stuff. I'm gonna give it to Boston Breach for that reason. You know what? I'll do a 3-0. Screw it. I think Boston's the better team right now. I think they're a top 4, top 5 team in the game at this moment. And yeah. Yeah. Okay. Um Next matchup, LAG versus Optic Texas. Now, Optic's still looking like Optic, which is good. They haven't looked, I mean, I feel like any team is gonna have like some iffy maps, iffy matchups. Some, you know what I'm saying? Like you can't go hot 24/7. There's gonna be some maps or sometimes where you look slow. You know what I'm saying? But like Optic still look the best out of any team in the CDL right now, and I think this is gonna be a 3-0. Yeah. uh Next matchup is Minnesota Rocket versus New York Subliners. Now, this is the Paul X New York Subliners, which we saw won their first 2 hard points last week versus Paris. And they ended up beating Paris 3-1. So they officially jumped above Paris in the standings. They are now not dead last. They are 11th, and Paris is dead last. um, but I don't think this is gonna be like a crazy, like, oh, Minnesota's gonna take this series. It just depends on how New York's practice has been since last week. Um, and if they're still piecing it together, I think that this New York Subliners team is gonna be better than obviously the previous one. It's just weird. It's like, oh man, Minnesota's notorious for starting off slow, losing game 1. I and the crazy part about this is I think New York still have a chance at winners if they win out, which is crazy. And it's like I almost want to predict that, but I don't know if I have that much faith in New York to make winners bracket. um, Sheesh, man. You know what? Should I go with like a crazy, crazy, crazy upset this week? I'll go with the crazy, crazy upset, dude. I'll go 3-1 New York. And I hate betting. I hate betting against Minnesota Rocker too, because you never. They're kind of like weird this year. You never know what you're gonna get out of them. I feel like they've always been that way, but like they've shown last year they showed like they were pretty consistent and they were good at winning 2-3-5 like almost every time. So, but it's not quite this year. Like their S&D is good, but they just need to learn how to win consistent and hard point control. And I don't have faith in them yet to do that. Yeah, I'm gonna predict the upset. I'm gonna go New York 3-1. Um, Time to get into Sunday's matchups, and I feel like all these are gonna be bangers. I can't wait to watch all of these. Boston Breach versus London. Now, this is a series where I feel like Boston, like I said, have looked good. Like this is definitely a winnable series for Boston. I wouldn't count Boston out of the series at all, even though London, they're a top 3 team in the game right now. So, they've always looked dominant, but man, I'm gonna go London 3-1. I just have too much faith, and I think London's too strong still. Yeah, we'll move on to the next one. Now this one is obviously the major one finals rematch. Optic Texas versus Atlanta FaZe. I am so excited to watch this one. Um, I mean, it Optic 3-2, and I wouldn't surprise if you see like um. I mean, I guess it kind of depends on like how the vetoes go. Do Optic try and get more like reps on maps that they're not great at, or do they basically respect Atlanta FaZe, right? And veto normal, I guess, for the match. If they veto normal, I think they get rid of Bocage, and we'll see like a similar um we'll see like Tuscan and Berlin SND and probably I mean honestly you might see a Tuscan control, which Optic can win. Um I think you see like a Gavutu hard point. I mean, I don't Optics look better. Like I think Optic has the better map pool right now than FaZe, if that makes sense. Like the only maps I would be scared like to see Optic get in a series is Berlin and Desert Siege, and that's 2 out of the 9 maps that are in the game. They could win any other map, and even if those 2 maps aren't great, I guarantee even like Optic I think has like a 0-4 or an 0-5 record in Berlin in matches. But I highly doubt they get smoked in Berlin in scrims. You know what I'm saying? It's not like I doubt they fucking get 250 to like 50 to 90 in scrims on Berlin every day. I doubt they suck that bad at that map. So, but even realistically, like you still would hate to see those maps or that map in a series. But I still think Optic's better at the rest. But I mean, at the end of the day, I predict 3-2 because it is Atlanta FaZe, even though I think Optic has a wider map pool. Atlanta FaZe is Atlanta FaZe. Like this is going to be a competitive matchup no matter what. These two demon of the teams are going to always square off. And yeah. Um yeah. So I have Optic winning 3-2 and going 5-0 in the stage. Um Next and last matchup for the Major 3 qualifiers is Toronto Ultra versus the New York Subliners. Now, I mean, I guess this matchup depends on how confident is New York. Like this matchup for me depends on this win. Okay, because if they get this win, I feel like if you're in New York, you're like, okay, like we are definitely a better team. You know, um, it I kind of almost want to predict them going to winners. Like, oh man, and I know I'm crazy for that, but like sometimes you just gotta go wild with it, right? Man, dude, it's just because the fact that like Toronto Ultra hasn't looked great in Hardpoint. It's like if New York's a new team, so it's like Toronto's look good in search and look good in control and look kind of man Hardpoint. So it's like New York's got to come out hot in the hard points. Um, you can't let Toronto's looked weak, like I said. So yeah, man. Like I think it's up to New York taking like a search or something, in my opinion, because they're a new team at the end of the day. So you like might not know too much about their search strats. Like Pollux could, I mean, granted some things cannot crazily change, but you never know. Like they could like crazily change their like game plan and search and destroy around Pollux instead of Clay. So you know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna predict the New York winners bracket vibes, bro. We're gonna go crazy with it, dude. Screw it, man. If I look dumb for it, screw it. Like I just have the weirdest feeling, bro, that New York's gonna turn it around. Um, But yeah, so those are going to be my predictions for Major 2 Week 3 predictions. I will submit them. They're locked in. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. And yeah, after this is going to be like a Major 2 prediction video, which I'm stoked for. I can't wait. Which will be the following week after this week. The major is like the next weekend. We don't have a 2-week break this time, so I'm excited for that. I'm excited for Major 2, and yeah, I will see you guys in that Major 2 prediction video. Peace.